But that economics will find a way, right? So supply is limited, demand is high, prices can't increase. What happens?
It's called the black market, I think.
Called the black market, right? Where is Shrikant?
Sorry, it was a little crazy. I was trying to get an Uber, but unfortunately surge pricing lag gaya, so I decided to wait because I didn't want to give in to the black pay.
Okay, so Shrikant,
Huh?
when at a nightclub,
Huh?
women are allowed free,
Huh.
but men have to pay cover charge, right? Everybody understands why this is. Nobody thinks of that as blackmail, but you think of surge pricing as blackmail.
Hold on, how do those two things connect? I'm talking about me not coming here because Uber surge pricing,
So both of these are connected by a very simple concept in economics called supply and demand. And intuitively, most people understand it, but somehow they fail to apply it in real life. So that's what I want to talk about today.
So today's episode is about supply and demand.
Yes. So before I explain what Uber surge pricing has to do with supply and demand, let's understand the very basic concept. Okay.
Okay.
The very basic concept is really simple. That as the price of some good or service increases, the demand for it is going to go down.
Okay.
Right? So, I mean, economists like to draw it as a graph, but I don't necessarily need the graph to explain it. It's unnecessarily confusing. Very simple concept.
Huh.
Price increases, demand goes down because some people no longer want to buy it at the higher price, whereas some people don't care. Right?
Correct.
So the number of people keeps on decreasing. That's called the demand curve. Demand goes down as price goes up.
As you can see. Yeah.
Now, what happens to supply? The number of people willing to sell at a price. What happens to it as the price goes up?
As the price goes up, more people will be willing to sell, right?
Right. So, in fact, as the price goes up and there is like lots of profit in a particular service, what will happen is that other people will see, oh, that's a really lucrative market and I want to enter it. So, they will get in. And as that happens, the supply increases. So this is called the supply curve. It is opposite of the demand curve. Okay. And basically, again, very simple. As price increases, the supply goes up.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct.
Now, just these two things and how they collide with each other pretty much decides so many things in life.
Okay.
The cost of so many things in life. Okay. So what it means is that when the supply doesn't match the demand, when the demand is too much, the price is going to go up.
Right.
And if the demand is too little,
And the supply is too much,
then the price is going to go down.
Correct.
Right? Because people are not finding buyers, so they keep reducing their prices until the number of buyers increases.
makes sense. Makes sense.
So now imagine weekday morning 9 o'clock in Aund. Okay, so many people want to go to office.
Aund, by the way, is a pretty busy area in Pune, just in case you're not from Pune, which I'm guessing you might not be.
Yeah. So many people want to go to office and the number of Ubers is limited because, the drivers don't want to get up early. They want to spend time with their children who are going to school. So they would prefer to come a little late. So demand is high, supply is low, which means that people have to wait.
Like I had to.
Right? And how do you increase the supply? Remember our supply curve?
By making sure that they get more money for.
Correct. So that's what a company like Uber or Ola or Lyft does.
Right. Surge pricing.
Increase the prices so that the supply increases or the demand decreases. In fact, both will happen.
Correct.
Right? As soon as there is surge pricing, there will be some people who say, I won't give in to blackmail. And those will refuse to, will find some alternative. But a lot of people will say, you know what, I have to pay this. So they will use it.
Yeah. So those who are in a hurry will definitely pay the surge pricing, and I have nothing against them. I won't. I just won't.
Yeah. So, but also supply increases because suddenly the drivers see, oh, this is a chance to make more money. So they will get up early and they will come home here quickly.
Which is why I was only 5 seconds late, not much, okay?
But again, understand one very simple thing, right? This is a very dynamic system. As soon as the number of drivers showing up in Aund increases, the supply increases.
Correct.
As the supply increases, and demand was also decreasing.
Correct.
So as this happens, the supply and demand have matched.
And there is an equilibrium of sorts.
So at this point, there is no need to increase the prices. Or in fact, there is no need even for the earlier higher prices because now there is enough supply. So the price falls again.
So that is why I was able to get a cab at normal prices, so to speak. Yeah.
But what happens is two things that I think, I mean, this is logical, what I explained, right?
Yeah.
But the thing that people don't realize is that this is logical. So as soon as Uber or Ola put surge pricing, people get angry, oh, they're gouging us. Probably not.
Yeah. No, I get it. Except there is a certain amount beyond which paying them doesn't make sense to me. So
yeah, so that you are
it's a personal preference.
Yeah, and you are part of some number of people who are no longer willing to pay, which is why the demand goes down. So there's a whole bunch of other people who are willing to pay. For them,
absolutely,
getting there on time is more important, right?
Agreed, absolutely.
No, but one more important point I want to point out is that the drivers also don't realize this is happening. That when a whole bunch of them descend upon Aund, the surge pricing will go away. And now what the drivers feel is that the company started surge pricing just to trick us into going there and then they removed it when we reached. And this is how they are exploiting us. Okay. Again, I mean, yes, some of these cab aggregator companies are quite horrible companies and they are exploiting drivers in various ways, but this is not one of them, right? This is just simple economics in action. In fact, that is the key takeaway message I have for today's episode, which is when you understand the basics of economics, Scott Adams says it is like having a mini superpower. You can predict what is going to happen in the future, which is that when supply increases, prices will fall, and when demand increases, prices will go up, and people don't really pay attention.
I have other problems with what Mr. Adams has to say, but let's not go there. My question is, okay, fine. This is for people who are driving cabs or a part of the cab aggregator system. But as someone who does neither cab aggregation nor drives cabs.
So this is applicable to everything in life. Okay. Let's take the example of an engineering degree.
Fair enough.
So,
good example.
Around 15 years ago, Indian software industry was increasing by leaps and bounds. There was a demand for software engineers. And they started making a good amount of money. In fact, much more than their parents made. Since then, the Indian software industry has grown by an order of magnitude.
It has.
Okay. So the demand for engineers has gone up by an order of magnitude.
It has.
What do you think has happened to the salaries of freshers in the last 15 years?
My counter question to that is, what has, now that you've explained the economics of demand and supply, what has happened to the supply of engineers in this period of time?
So the first thing to notice is that in 15 years, the salary of freshers joining the software industry, at least the median, has not gone up significantly at all. And the reason for that is because everybody realized, oh my God, people are making money in software. So everyone started joining CS and IT engineering degrees. In fact, everyone started creating colleges, right? Because there was a demand for CS, IT engineering degrees. A supply of colleges happened.
And a supply of engineers happened.
And now we have an oversupply. Okay. So India has 16,000 seats for engineering, 16 lakh seats.
Many orders.
That is oversupply.
Yeah.
So only 8 lakh of them actually get filled every year. So roughly we have around 7 lakh something graduates every year. But the industry only needs 2 to 3 lakh.
Are you trying to say that someone who's doing software engineering right now is basically wasting their career, their education?
No, not really. The other part that you have to be careful of is supply of what? Okay. Supply of students with an engineering degree and decent marks is very high. Okay. 7 lakh. But supply of students who can do what industry wants them to do, which is write working programs, which is communicate properly using decent written English, that is still about 1 lakh out of those 7 lakh.
Yeah.
So industry needs 2 to 3 lakhs of the latter, and what it is getting is 7 lakhs of the former, right? So there is oversupply of people with degrees, but undersupply of people who can actually write working programs, right?
See, even in that, there is a split of kind of supply or kind of material resource that is available.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it is important to keep in mind that you have to look at what is there a shortage of. Okay, there isn't a shortage of people with degrees. There is a shortage of people who can write programs and who can communicate well, right? And this you can apply to everything else in life also, right?
Okay, but this also. Okay, so this brings me to a very weird example. Tell me if I'm wrong. If I manage to somehow control the supply,
Yes.
does that mean I can create demand?
Well, no, you can't. Suppose there is already demand, right? There's a demand for 100,000 fancy watches. Okay, like expensive watches. 100,000 people are willing to pay 5 lakh rupees for a watch.
Okay.
Right? You can create less watches, right? Where the demand is more than the supply. You can artificially limit the supply and the price can go up, right? So that is where this whole concept of limited edition you must have heard of, right? There is no limited edition of pav bhaji, right? Limited edition is for expensive things. Okay. So Rolex watches or Louis Vuitton will come out with a limited edition bag and that will cost like way more than the regular Louis Vuitton bag.
Okay, I get it.
So, by the way, the Louis Vuitton bag carries the same amount of stuff as my regular bag.
I think there is also something called a Birkin bag that I've heard about.
Yeah.
Go. We'll put some links down there.
That's a different concept from economics or maybe psychology called signaling, which we have a different episode on. But let's come back to supply and demand. Right?
Yes, please.
So, artificially limiting the supply can cause prices to go up, right? That's where limited edition comes in. That's where NFTs come in, right? So in the blockchain world, people have created like guaranteed limited edition because the blockchain ensures that you cannot create more copies of this. And you must have heard of ridiculous prices there also.
Yeah, we've heard of many ridiculous prices, and blockchain is a subject that Naveen is quite passionate about. We'll get him to do a series of kinds on blockchains and NFTs and all of that. But now, is there a principle? Is there a situation in life where this economics of supply and demand just doesn't apply?
So there are a lot of situations where the supply might be limited. One example is that the government has regulations disallowing supply, right? Indian government doesn't allow any random person to open a petrol pump wherever you want, right?
Yeah.
Indian government earlier, the economic policies were such that we couldn't manufacture enough scooters and we couldn't manufacture enough telephones because because of policies. And I am not making this up. When I was growing up, if you wanted to buy a scooter, what will happen? Supply is limited, right? And demand is high. What do you think should happen?
I know what can happen because that happened to me with the telephone. We had something called an OYT list, own your telephone list, and there was a long waiting list. We had to wait for like months and months.
Although that's an advanced step, right? Really what should happen is that the prices should keep going up until the demand goes down. Whole bunch of people say, you know what, I am not paying 5 lakh for a phone. And there'll still be some South Bombay types who will pay 5 lakh for a phone, and supply and demand should match, right? But
South Bombay guys are going to be brigading the comments. How dare you call South Bombay types as South Bombay types?
No, South Bombay types will say, I know, my neighbor is like that. But,
There you go.
But the point also was that in those days we had policies which prevented increase in prices, right? So prices were being forced to stay constant and supply was also being forced low. Then what happens?
Right.
Then the price doesn't increase because it is not allowed to.
Correct.
So you end up with wait lists. Okay.
That
But
okay. That
again,
explains.
always remember that economics will find a way. Right? So supply is limited, demand is high, prices can't increase. What happens?
It's called the black market, I
It's
think.
called the black market, right? We used to, when buying a scooter, if somebody suddenly gets a scooter, we would ask them, on mein liya kya? On, right? So on means you gave extra money to someone somewhere to get it quickly, right? So black market happens.
And all of this started because I was 3 seconds late to the video. 3 seconds late.
No, but come back. Let's talk about Uber, right? I
Yeah.
remember when Uber first came into India,
Yeah.
right? The first few drivers, they were not first few, but first 6 months or so, the drivers were making like 1 lakh rupees per month.
Absolute bang. I've spoken to many Uber drivers who were like, "Arey, I was earning like in 60, 80,000."
I want to point out two things that happened. Okay, one is that a whole bunch of Uber drivers from all over the country, small towns, etc., came to Pune, Bangalore, etc., where Uber existed, because a chance at getting 1 lakh per month, right?
Correct.
Because price goes up, the supply will come.
Yeah.
And these people thought their life is going to change. There were a whole bunch of people like you and me, right, who are like intellectuals sitting there and analyzing and saying, oh, this is so nice. Drivers will now finally get to make good money, right? Anyone who understands economics should have been able to predict a very simple fact, right? That if the only skill required to become an Uber driver is the ability to rent a car from someone and the ability to drive a car, there is really no bottleneck on the supply of drivers, right?
Yeah.
So you should be able to predict that the drivers will just keep increasing until the money goes down.
Yeah.
Which is exactly what happened. And a whole bunch of drivers came and they were surprised to find that they are making only 15-20,000. Why did it settle at 15-20,000? Because that's what other drivers are making elsewhere, right? Maybe a little less they're making, but they have a comfortable life. They have a job as a driver which has fixed hours, whereas with Uber you have to like work late to get the same amount of money, right? So how much an Uber driver can make will settle down at an amount which is roughly or a little more than what a driver can make.
The equilibrium
Economics
will be
does
found.
not allow you to have any other equilibrium.
Right. But that also makes me wonder whether the pendulum will swing too far away and then people will probably stop driving for these cab aggregators. That's, I think, another
See,
question.
but that's a good thing about an equilibrium, right? If they stop driving,
Then Uber will have to, or cab aggregators
the
will have
demand is
to.
there.
Yeah.
They'll have to increase the prices.
Fascinating. This
Yes.
simple theory, which is I think called the 101 of economics.
This is the most basic things. Even in supply and demand, there's a lot of interesting tweaks that are there, and we will cover those in future episodes.
Future IQ.
Yes.
Srikanth, Naveen.
Yeah.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.